The British Parliament is investigating Huawei's business in the United Kingdom, especially the long-standing commercial ties between Huawei and British telecom giant British Telecom, BT. Richard Bestic reports.
Huawei has been a major supplier to British Telecom for 7 years, providing equipment for BT's rollout of fibre optic broadband, one of the biggest infrastructure projects in the UK. Huawei's equipment has also been used to help build Britain's 4G network, being launched at the end of this month by EE. The company also serves other big players in the UK mobile market. Now the House of Commons Intelligence Committee is evaluating BT's relationship with Huawei and whether it should give rise to concern. The committee will report directly to Prime Minister David Cameron, seen here last month with Huawei's CEO Ren Zhengfei announcing new investments. Huawei is putting $2 billion into Britain over the next 5 years, welcomed by David Cameron as exactly the type of business the UK wants.
They have created more than 1,000 jobs. They've committed to new investment plans. They had announced a few weeks ago that they are going to invest £1.2 billion in the next few years in the UK. And obviously this is good business for the country as a whole.
The US House of Representatives Intelligence Committee this week called for Huawei to be excluded from doing business in the US on the grounds their equipment could be used by the Chinese government or others. Behind it, the fear that Huawei equipment is not secure. The Shenzhen-based company has consistently denied all links with espionage and cybercrime and calls the allegations monstrous. Huawei's operations in the UK are overseen by a body called the Cybersecurity Evaluation Centre, agents of which operate inside the company's offices.
I think the Chinese companies need to understand that there are concerns. And I think, in fact, Huawei has been a pioneer into trying to be more transparent. For example, this center in the UK, this security center, is a good example.
British Telecom says the work of the Security Evaluation Centre guarantees the security of their networks.
Should the UK follow the American approach, it would cause logistical chaos for the country's communications upgrade. However, at the moment, that looks an unlikely scenario, as the Cabinet Office in Whitehall and indeed British Telecom both say they have no plans to change their relationship with Huawei. Richard Bestic, CCTV, London.
More analysis now on this developing story. Larry Spiwak, who is the president of the Phoenix Center for Advanced Legal and Economic Public Policy Studies. And we welcome back Xue Haipei, a commentator for Hong Kong's Phoenix Television. Gentlemen, thank you very much for this very important topic. Look, this has been a developing story all week long. The latest is this potential investigation that appears to be confirmed by Reuters that the Parliament in London, in the United Kingdom, they've had an ongoing investigation. So let me first get your reactions to this latest piece of news, Larry.
Oh, well, that's actually news to me. So this is really is a remarkable story just on so many levels, because I mean, I bring the perspective of being in the telecommunications business. So I think about do I want to buy the most effective and highest tech equipment I can. But now you're talking about issues of critical infrastructure and national security. Whether there's something there, we're going to have to see.
The media reports are talking about the investigation. One of the areas is the relationship between BT or British Telecom and Huawei. Why is that interesting? Because we have a lot of companies in a global environment who do a lot of work together. From your standpoint, is this unique in any special way? What would they possibly be looking for?
Well, to be honest with you, this is the first time ever I have been in Washington DC for 25 years that a foreign company, two of them in the same industry, has been singled out as a national security threat and has recommended the U.S. company not to do business with them. This is really, in my memory, I mean, right or wrong, the first time in my memory in my last 25 years in this country.
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah, well, you see, I bring this. I didn't know this investigation you're talking about. But this is today's New York Times. I'll just read for your audience. Britain playing down a U.S. warning, welcomes two Chinese telecom suppliers. This is today's New York Times. And So this is a fascinating case, and I thank you for bringing this to this discussion table for the broader audience on that.
Well, you know, and that's a good segue, because this has been a developing story, and what instigated this was the congressional report and the investigation from Washington, D.C. And there's been a lot of talk between national security versus protectionism, and I don't know where the country should draw the line, if there's a line at all. Larry?
Well, that's a very good point. And I don't know, because I wasn't part of the congressional committee. Going to your question a moment ago, I mean, carriers tend to have a very close relationship with whoever their vendors are, because you have to. People have no really idea when you build a network.
They're partners.
Yeah,
They're
and you make it a
together.
long-term investment. I mean, you know, once you decide to go with a vendor, you're sort of locked in there for a long time, because everything has to work off of the commitment that you've made. And I can assure you that, you know, every carrier takes their security very, very, very seriously. They want to get government business. They want to protect their own customers, you know, not private sector business. So this notion that they wouldn't have some sort of filter, if you will, and really research it very hard before they make that commitment, to me, it sounds very odd.
Just to tag on that,
Yeah.
that has been a relationship that's been ongoing for not just a few months. It's been years and years, since the middle of the last decade. Xue, I want to get your reaction from the experts that you're talking to. You talk to a lot of folks on the ground who do a lot of business in China.
Yeah.
What has their reaction been since Monday of this story, since it broke?
Okay. Before I do that, can I just quickly
Go
respond
ahead.
to what he said? The carriers take this very serious, right? So is our federal government. But the thing in this case, and you probably know the story, the Sprint Nextel, trying to have Huawei as a part of the bidding process for infrastructure. It is the government. It is not the Sprint itself. Actually, Gary Locke, the Commerce Department in those days, said you better not include the Huawei in the bid. So it is our government intervening in its process. And whatever Huawei, I'm not trying to say Huawei is great, Huawei has no security concerns, but what I'm saying is that this British model, kind of what they call it, British Telecom called it it's got trust and verify model, and the ZTE called the trust and deliver model. None of this is acceptable to the United States, but why it is acceptable to the Europe?
Well, is that also part of your answer to my earlier question as to that's the reaction from a lot of the community of Chinese companies? Would that be a fair statement?
Absolutely. You have, in the last just 2 weeks, you have so many things happening in the last 2 weeks, can condense into it. This, I don't know, just by happenstance or there's some logic. This case, the intelligence report, there's auto parts, WTO filing. There's yesterday the solar panel subsidy. All of them made the Chinese investors very nervous.
I want to make sure we stay on topic, Larry. I just want to ask you quickly, in the report that was delivered earlier this week, there was a lot of discussion about former employees, and there were classified documents from different government agencies. Do you have any idea what might be in those documents?
No, that's why it's classified. If I knew, I could tell you. But that's very clear. It was
It's
classified.
not in this paper. It's not in this report. Yeah.
You know, the report, which is right here, and you can download it off the internet, doesn't have it. It talks a lot about the corporate structure in China and the committee's apparently dissatisfaction with that. But all the issues of the things that you talked about are not in here, and we don't know because it is in fact classified.
Gentlemen, I apologize. We're getting the wrap on the ear. That does it for this particular segment, but certainly this story is not over. Thank you very much for joining us on Biz Asia America.